Hi, and welcome to the Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora demonstration. You know, today's small business owners face daily challenges in running their businesses, and one of the more difficult challenges is managing an IT infrastructure. However, the primary focus for most business owners is on their core business competencies, not on becoming technology experts. And because investments in technology directly impact the bottom line, there is a constant need to achieve real business benefits and mitigate costs against a backdrop of time pressures and limited technical skills. To add to this pressure, many small businesses are now looking towards cloud services and what they may offer, which can add to even more complexity and apprehension in adopting new technology. To help small businesses solve these challenges, Microsoft is building upon its success with Microsoft Windows Small Business Server 2008 to develop the next generation of solutions for small business, Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora and Windows Small Business Server 7. These products are designed to help small businesses operate at the same technology levels as much larger organizations without the added costs and complexities of managing an intricate IT infrastructure. So what is Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora? Well, Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora is a new addition of the Windows Small Business Server family that introduces cross-premise functionality, providing small businesses with on-premise file and print, security, backup, remote access, identity management services, and combined with the optional off-premise services. What we're trying to do with small businesses is simplify their lives, have them be able to access their business virtually anywhere with a live internet connection, and enable their infrastructure to be ready for the future, to be able to start utilizing online and cloud services today. So what do we mean by cross-premise or cloud-enabled server? Well, as we talked about, Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora provides a set of infrastructure services to support your users locally, such as identity management, file and share management, client and server backup. It also provides single sign-on ability to cloud integrated services. So your users can access line of business services in the cloud, such as email, SharePoint, CRM systems, sales tools, utilizing single sign-on that is integrated quickly and simply into Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora. So really providing everything your business needs in a server to support your infrastructure locally, and then enabling you to expand your business utilizing online services and single sign-on. So what you're actually looking at here is a Windows 7 client, not a server client, not a server desktop, not a server administration tool, but a Windows 7 client. And really what we're trying to do is provide an easy way for office workers to be able to administer the basic tasks of a network. One of the great things about solution servers is providing that best breed practice of what small businesses do in the way they administer and maintain their servers. So what we have here is a small organization of 4 to 5 people that's just hired a new employee called Ella Spears. And because they're a small organization, Ella actually is coming with her own hardware, but I need to bring her onto my network. I need to add her into my user directory, I need to give her access to information such as my company shares, and I need to connect her computer to my network. So I can do this straight from my Windows 7 client. What you see on the desktop here is a launchpad, and the launchpad provides me access to various options within Windows Server codename Aurora. And this is completely extensible through add-ons, ISVs, and OEM customization. You actually might have a number of tasks that appear here. We'll actually come and revisit this later in the demonstration, but what I want to do is open up the main administration tool for Windows Server codename Aurora, which is the dashboard. So what you're seeing here is my dashboard, which provides me easy access to all the administration functions of my server. The basic thing here is if a user is comfortable utilizing their Windows desktop, and it can utilize things such as control panel, personalization, and activities such as that, they should be able to utilize the dashboard that is provided with Windows Server codename Aurora. So our first screen is a list of getting started tasks. And these getting started tasks really provide the installer the simple list of things they need to do to actually get our installation up and running on the network. And as I complete these tasks, each of these tasks get ticked so I know exactly where they are. I also have a list of common tasks which provides information for common tasks on my network, such as adding a user, adding a shared folder, customizing the server in some way. And both these lists are fully extensible, so you may find these lists may grow based on applications, add-ons, and server infrastructure that is available to Windows Server codename Aurora. So the first thing I want to do is actually add a user. So if I click on my Users tab, you can actually see my user information here. Now behind this is Active Directory, so it's an easy way for my office workers to actually access and view information that is stored in Active Directory. So what you'll also see here on the right hand side is a context-driven task pane. So as I select objects on my left hand side, you'll actually see these tasks appear and change on the right hand side. And this provides me as the user the ability to quickly and easily administer the object that I'm selected, or be able to access basic user tasks or within the dashboard. So for example, if I click on a new user here, you'll actually see my task information has changed based on that context of the user. So this provides help across all the tabs within the dashboard, and we'll actually see this as we go through the demo. So our first scenario is we've just hired LSPs to our organization, so I'd like to go and add her user account. I simply and quickly click on Add User Account, type in Ella's first name, last name, and by default I'm actually using first name, last name. I actually just want to use first name, so I'm just going to go and change that. Type in a password, confirm the password. I can also define what level of access that Ella is. To simplify things for our small business users, we have two levels of access, a standard user and an administrator. And this really provides an easy setup mechanism for users in our organization. So I'm going to keep on standard user, click on next, and the next thing we need to do is select the shared folder access for LSPs. Shared folders provide me the security to all the information that is stored on Windows Server codename Aurora. And this information might be my customer data, my operation information, my user account information. We try to make it very easy in Small Business Server, and we set permissions at the top level, and then those permissions are then hierarchy down throughout those folders. So by default, all my new users have read-only access to these files. And I can quickly and easily change this when I create the user, or I can actually change it at the user administrator, or also at the shared folder view that we'll look a little bit later on. By changing it, I can just simply select the access that I want, either full access, read-only, or no access. Again, very simplified to make it a lot easier to administer. Select full access, click on next, and all that information is now stored. Our last choice is providing a remote access for LSPs. By default, all my users, when I create them, have remote access to my Windows Server codename Aurora environment. Remote access gives them access to all this information virtually anywhere they are through a browser. So they could be sitting in an internet cafe halfway across the world and be able to access shared folders, computers within the organization that they have rights to, any of my homepage links, or maybe applications that I've installed to the server. And I can define that user's access here. I can actually give them full access to all the information and the server dashboard if they're administrator, or I can actually provide them no remote access at all based on their user. I'm actually going to just leave LSPs as default and then create my LSPs account. In summary, it's now telling me to go to LSPs computer and type in http my server name connect, and actually will then connect their computer to my Windows Server codename Aurora network. So actually, let's go and do that. What you'll see here is LSPs computer. It's a Windows 7 client, and you can see it's highly personalized because it's her own machine. The thing is, we want to keep her personalization as well. We don't want her, when we're moving her to join our domain, to lose any of the information that she's stored up on her computer over an amount of time. And Windows Server codename Aurora has that ability when I connect my client computers to the network. So let's actually go and connect the computer to the network. We'll open up Internet Explorer, and we'll type in my server name, WAC Connect, and hit enter. Now you're seeing here that I'm getting a pop-up warning that my intranet settings haven't been turned on. Well, this computer's never been part of an intranet, so I've never had to turn these on. So I'm just going to enable my intranet settings. And now these are enabled, and you can see that I'm in local intranet mode. And I'm going to download the connector software for Windows. And if you've ever installed any application via a browser, this window is quite, this pop-up is quite familiar. I'm just going to run this information. And you can see here it's gone out, it's found my Windows Small Business Server, codename Aurora server. It's asking me to select next, and by selecting next I'll be able to connect my computer to the network, which is effectively a domain join for my client. By default, we'll be able to monitor the health of this computer, both locally and server-wide. I'll be able to back the computer up daily, automated client backup via the server, and as a user I can kick off a manual backup if I feel I need to, and I'll be able to manage the server using this computer if needed. So I'm just going to click on next, and it's going to run through some requirements. It's actually said my computer meets the prerequisites. I have .NET 4.0 installed on the computer. So I'm now going to start the installation process. It's basically verifying my computer, downloading some components, and now it's asking me to type my new user network name and password. This is not the administrator user network. This is the user that we created for Ella Spears. So we create a username Ella. We'll put her password in, and we'll click next. It's then gone in, tested that password, ensured it's correctly, and now we'll restart our computer. So once the computer is restarted, the next thing it's asking me if I want to move my existing data and settings. So we mentioned this before, that Ella brought her own computer to our network, to our organization, and had a lot of personalization, personal files, photos, that she didn't want to lose when she moved to the domain infrastructure. This setting allows me to transfer all those local account information, all that local information into her domain account. So I'm certainly going to move the data. I'm going to type in a computer description. This appears in my administration console, allows it easier identification of this computer. And asking me now, do I want to automatically wake up this computer for backup? So if this computer is on my local network and goes into hibernation or standby, maybe it's through the night, it will go through standby and hibernation, I can actually wake this computer up to perform the automated backup. So yes, I'm going to do that. It's going to ask me if I want to participate in the Windows Customer Experience Improvement Program, and of course I do. It's now configuring my computer, connecting the computer through to the network through domain join, and at this stage it's asking me to install a piece of device software that enables that automated client backup and restore. So I'm just going to install that. It's now connecting in that, finishing my installation, and it's asking me if I want to open the dashboard to administer the server. At this stage we don't need to do that, so we'll uncheck that, we'll finish it, and what you can see now is I now have a domain logon. Where before I had a local logon, now I have a domain logon. I'll type in Ella as my domain username, click on password, and log on, and now you can see that all my settings have been transferred into my new account system, and I have the Windows Server codename Aurora Launchpad connector software Launchpad available on my desktop. So you can see connecting computers to Windows Server codename Aurora is really, really simple. And anybody in the office can do that. Once we have our computers connected to the network, we can easily administer them and view the things such as their backup status, their health status, and other aspects around computer management as well. So we'll click on our Computers and Backup tool, and you can see here that I have 4 computers connected to my network. Belinda PC, Cameron PC, the new one Ella PC, and of course Jackson PC. And in this view I can actually see which ones are online and offline, and also what alerts and backup status these computers may have. So for example, if I click on Belinda PC, I can actually view the computer properties, see that it's a Windows 7 Ultimate 32-bit OS. I can also look at the backups. You can see this has had a number of backups. I can view that backup details and actually see that we're backing up 2 volumes, and we can administer all that information about that backup through this tool. I can also view system alerts either from a computer level or a network-wide level by just clicking on the computer. Again, viewing the alerts. You can see that here Cameron PC has two alerts. One, the virus protection is turned off, not installed, or not up to date. And the computer has not had a successful backup recently. So these are great alerts. Maybe Cameron's a PC, maybe Cameron's out on holiday. So these are easy alerts for me as the office administrator to go, oh, there's something wrong with that computer. Maybe I just need to ensure that the virus definition is updated. Or maybe that computer has been turned off for a little while, or that user's from leave. So it's very easy to proactively tell me the health of my machines across my network. The great thing also, as a user, say if I'm working on Cameron's PC, I'll actually get a pop-up with these alerts saying that my computer hasn't had a backup for a while, or that my virus protection is turned off or not installed or not up to date as well. So it gives me the ability to also ensure the users are proactive in administering their own machines with very easy to follow instructions. So one of the more important things that we have in Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora is automated client backup. And we do backup both of files and folders of the server, so I can restore any file and folder. We also do image-based backups as well, so I can actually restore the entire PC. So if I've had a catastrophic failure on that PC, I can basically restore that entire PC back, which makes it a lot more easier for our small business servers to get up and running from a disaster such as that. So let's actually go and kick off a backup for LPC. So I'm actually going to go and click Start a Backup for this computer. Now backups are automated and they usually happen at night time. You can completely configure the time that it may happen in. So you might happen just after closing business hours. By default we back up at late night. But I can manually back up. You can see here that's asking me to do a manual backup. And I click on OK, it's starting the backup. And you can see here that the backup is happening in the background as we speak. Now I can go off and configure other aspects of my network as I do this, but you can see the backup is extremely fast. We do snap backup, utilize snap backup technology. So the first backup will always take the longest, and then we'll only back up the differences between the backups. So subsequent backups are very quick and very fast and very efficient. So now we've looked at the details of a computer, we've looked at the alerts of a computer, and we've also set up the backup of a client machine and made sure that that client machine first backup is done, and now we know that it will be automatically backed up each evening. What we can also do is server-based backup, and server-based backup gives me the ability to ensure that not only my IP is protected or my documents protected, but also that all those computer backups are protected as well. So we actually take a backup of all of our computer backups. So if I have a catastrophic failure of the server, I know that I can easily restore that server information back and get my business up and running really quickly. So let's actually go and set up a server backup. We'll click on our server and we're actually going to just choose set a backup for this server. And it will walk us through a very simple wizard of setting a backup for this server. It's going to ask things such as the backup destination drive. We need a separate drive to back all the server information up to. And this can be an internal drive, but preferably an external drive. And in some cases, you may want more than one, so you can actually take one off site or store one away in a fireproof or waterproof safe to ensure that extra reliability. And also what items to back up and the backup schedule. Let's actually walk through the process. So first you'll actually see that it's asking us which hard drive do we want to back up to, and we can't see anything there. So by default, if I plug a new hard drive in, it won't have a volume. So I'm actually just going to check this box, and it will then all the drives that without volume that will appear in this tool. So in this case, I've just plugged a USB drive in. I haven't initiated that drive. It doesn't have a volume associated with it, but I can still utilize it for my backups. I'm just going to click on that. It's going to ask me whether it can format that. I'm going to allow it to format it. I'm going to give it a name, in this case backup drive 1. I can then specify the backup schedule. By default, we back up twice a day, and again, we utilize snap backup technology, so backups are extremely fast and efficient. We back up at lunchtime and then also late at night. And you can customize that schedule. You can go once a day, you can go more than once a day. So maybe you're at a end of month or end of financial year period and data is changing extremely fast and you want to ensure that you have backups more than once a day. You can define that customized schedule within this tool. I'm going to leave this as default. Click on next, and you actually then ask which items do I want back up. And here you actually see both my operating system level, such as my system drive, but also all those shared folder drives as well. And here I can easily define what gets backed up and what doesn't. Now if I have a good amount of disk space, I can ensure that everything gets backed up. But if I've got a limited amount of storage, I can quickly and easily customize what gets backed up. So for example, in my operations folder, I actually might have copies of all my company's software. And I actually might have these on DVD as well. So it may be beneficial for me to not back these up if I require that hard drive space for user storage. By default, I'm actually going to just leave that. Click on next. It'll provide a summary of what we've just done. I'm going to apply those settings, and now it has set the server backup. And now my backup is complete. My backup schedule has been completed for those servers. So now we've looked at client administration, client backup, and server backup. By adding new users to my organization, I probably now need to extend the storage capacity, or simply I need to extend the hard drive space, because new users means new amounts of data. Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora makes this very, very simple. So let's actually go and see an example of that. By clicking on my Server Folders and Hard Drives tab, this is where all the information around shared folders and the physical hard drives of the server are stored. The great thing here is that we have an excellent summary view, which is a one-stop look at exactly what's happening within my server at that stage. So you can see here that I have a system drive of 60 gigabytes and I have a default storage drive. So I actually don't see C drive, D drive, and E drive. This effectively is all the storage that's available for the server, such for folder information, for client backup, for data protection or duplication, which I'll talk about in a moment, and also what free space we have available. The Servers Folders tab is where I actually go and set my server folder information. So when we talked about top level folders in my organization, this is where I can go and create new folders or to administer existing folders. So for example here, if I click on my company folder, I can then view the folder properties. You can see here I have the URL to the exact folder, and by default when you create a new folder, folder duplication is turned on. Now folder duplication is effectively mirroring from disk to disk. And what this enables me to do is if I have more than one hard drive as part of my storage pool, Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora will duplicate these files and folders across those hard drives. So if I have a hard drive fault, maybe one of the hard drive disables or dies, my users can still access that data because I have numerous copies of this. And the great thing about that is Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora will actually work out across your entire storage infrastructure the best and most efficient way to duplicate all those files to ensure that you do not have a single point of failure. I can also look at the sharing information. So by default here in my company folder, my administrator and Belinda Cross have read-write access. By default, the rest of my people in my organization have read access. If I wanted to change that, it's as simple as selecting the down arrow button. Maybe we'll give Cameron Elliott no access to this folder, and now that user has no access to any information within that folder. Tool selection not only enables me to check folders for issues and repair them if needed, and maybe format them if I want to destroy the information on them, it provides me access to enable shadow copies for those folders and files. Shadow copy provides me another level of disaster recovery for my users and enables my users to go back to a point in time to restore files and folders that they may have been working on that may have happened after my previous night's backup. So for example, by default here, shadow copies are created twice a day, and the next run is at 7 a.m. I actually might do my server backup at 11 o'clock at night. So I know that if my users have come in and they've made a change or multiple changes to files after 7 a.m. and then want to restore back to that previous version, they can easily go to that shadow copy and restore that themselves using their local Windows and Office tools than needing to go back into my server backup. Again, makes it very easy for my end users and me as the Office administrator to recover data that I need at my fingertips. So the next thing I want to look at is the actual hard drives of my server. So we looked at the summary tab before. This provides me an individual view of all the hard drives associated with my system. So for example, here in my default storage pool, I actually have a 200 gigabyte hard drive, but I also have a system drive of 200 gigabytes as well. So let's actually have a look at what this system drive is. Well, you can see here that it's a 200 gigabyte drive with 60 gigabytes that is given to my system, which is the operating system, which is actually what runs this server itself. And then the rest of the drive space is being given to my storage pool. This is what's made that 340 gigabytes in my storage pool. So you can see here, utilizing technology that we call drive extender, I've actually taken the free space from this drive and then added it to the 200 gigabytes and made my 340 gig. But now LSBS has started and I'm really looking at ramping up my small business and I need more storage space. I need to now add more hard drives to this server. So what I've got here is I've actually added a physical hard drive to my server. To add that to the storage pool is as simple as clicking on it, selecting add the hard drive to the storage pool, giving it a name, in this case storage drive 2, selecting that I understand it will be formatted, formatting the drive, and based on the size of this drive, this can take anywhere from seconds to a little bit longer. Summarizing that information that I now have a new 200 gigabyte drive within my storage pool, you can see that it's been added to my storage pool. And if I quickly go and look at server folders, we also see that synchronization is happening. So I've added this third drive and automatically my Windows Server codename Aurora is starting to synchronize another copy of this data across those drives and ensuring that I don't have that single point of failure. And if I go and look at my summary tab, you'll see that now I have, instead of 340 gig, I have 540 gigabytes of data available with all that 200 gigabyte added. So the great thing here is what you're seeing is that I can simply add that physical hard drive, whether it be an internal drive or an external drive, USB, something like that, add it, click on the storage pool and add it to my storage pool, be able to access that information at my fingertips. So now I actually want to look at the client perspective of Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora, and specifically the Launchpad. And we saw this at the start of the demonstration. I want to actually look at some of the aspects of the Launchpad itself. So you can see here by default I have 4 things on my Launchpad. I have backup, and even though we do automated server backup at night times, what I can do is, say if I've been out of the office for a few days or there's been a lot of changes on my local machine, I want to ensure that those changes are saved to the server. I can actually start a backup myself and start a manual backup myself. I can also define whether I want my computer to be automatically woken up from hibernation and sleep. But I can go in and change this. This may be if I'm going to go on the road for an extended amount of time, I want to maybe I want to turn this off. When I come back in the office, I can kick off a manual backup to ensure that all those changes that I did locally when I didn't have network connection are backed up to my server. I'm going to skip remote web access just for a second and go straight to shared folders. So these are all those shared folders that we saw within the dashboard console. And the great thing about shared folders is they're web folders, so I can get to them via my plain Windows Explorer and be able to manipulate them as a simple Windows Explorer folder, whether it's physical in my hard drive or whether it's a web folder such as Windows Small Business Server codename Aurora. The experience is exactly the same. I won't click on the dashboard because we've just seen that, but you can see I can access the dashboard from my Launchpad anytime that I need. I'm going to click on Remote Web Access. And Remote Web Access enables my users to access the server from basically anywhere they have an internet connection. So in this case, I'm doing it from my intranet, but I could be external to my organization. I could be sitting at an internet kiosk. I could be sitting at one of my clients' site, and I can utilize a browser window and access pretty much all the components of my server as if I was sitting on my intranet. So you can see here that I've logged into my Remote Web Access website. I'm just going to add my password in and log on. What you'll see here is the Remote Web Access homepage, and this is completely extensible. So as we start putting add-ons and applications into Windows Server, Small Business Server codename Aurora, you'll actually be able to access these through the Remote Web Access. But by default, we have a number of things that we can access here. One, I can access all the shared folders in my organization. So for example, I'll click on my company folder and then look at SBS, and you can see that I have 2 folders within here. I can also change the views of this as well. I can make this an icon view, so I know quickly and easy which one's a Word document, which one's a PowerPoint document, and access that information. We can also upload files, not only download files, but I can also upload files through the internet as well. So I can click on my upload button, and what you'll see here is I don't have that browse or type the source folder in here. I can drag and drop multiple files into this tool. So for example, here I've got my SBS overview PowerPoint on my desktop. I'm basically going to drag and drop this information in. Click on the upload button. You can see that I've successfully uploaded that into my codename Aurora server. I can then close that, and now I have my SBS overview information available for not only me to use, but anybody to use in my organization. So you can see it's really simple for me to be able to still access all my information when I'm external to my organization, and not only download that, but also upload any changes, manipulate documents, and be able to still work as if I was sitting internal on my intranet. Let's go back to home and talk a little bit about sitting on my intranet. So say if I'm on the road, I actually have a desktop in my organization, and I'm on the road with another computer, or I'm at an internet cafe, and I need access to information that's on that computer. Well, normally I'd probably have to call somebody, I'd have to get them to log on to that machine and get them to email me the file. Well, with Remote Web Access, I can actually take control of that machine and access that information. So here you can see all the computers in my organization and their basically status. Let's actually have a look at all the computers. We can extend this list. And you can see that they are all the computers that we saw within computer management and their current status. Belinda PC is available and Ella PC is available. So Ella PC was that computer that we added to our network in this demonstration. So this is currently sitting internal on my network, and I need to access maybe a file that's local to that machine. What I can do, if I have rights, and you can configure the rights, whether somebody has rights to actually access these machines, I can simply click on this. It will actually warn me that I'm going to utilize remote desktop services to access. I'm actually utilizing RDP to access these computers. I'm going to connect. It's going to ask me to enter my credentials, so we're ensuring security. I'm going to enter my credentials, and I just want to stress here that I need to have the rights to access those machines. By default, I don't have access to those machines. The office administrator can actually define who can access the machines via remote web access. It's very simple to do. Click on OK. It's now connecting via remote desktop connection into LPC's machine. And you can see here that I'm connected to LPC. I have my launchpad. I can now then access the information that I have rights to on that desktop and be able to utilize that. Another great example of this is if my machine is sitting internally, if I have an internet-based machine and I'm, I can actually go and visit a local coffee shop, open up maybe their net kiosk machine that's sitting there and actually access my computer securely through remote desktop services while I'm sitting there and be able to open my email, view my information, and actually work without me physically having my machine here. So it's a very, very powerful tool for me to utilize all through remote web access. So with that, I'm hoping you've seen Windows Small Business Server, codename Aurora, is ideal as a first server for small businesses, provides an easy-to-use solution that helps protect data with its advanced automated backup features, helps organize and access business information from virtually anywhere, supports the applications that are needed to run business today, and can help quickly connect to online services that can be acquired separately. Thank you.